I'm Jane Copier, and you're listening to Happy in the Middle, a podcast for Christian women who want to make the second half of life the best half. This podcast is all about helping women to reignite their spark and step into their divine power in order to create deep and connected relationships and also find that fulfillment and satisfaction they crave. So, if you're ready to grow, join me and learn how you too can overcome guilt, resentment, disappointment, and enjoy the fruits of creating a life well lived. Let's go. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Happy in the Middle, episode number 72, How to Keep a Bad Thought from Turning into a Bad Day. How are you doing? I tell you what, my friends, this past week has been one for the books. My husband had his surgery. He had major back surgery, and he's now home and recovering. And along with taking care of him, I've had one of the worst colds in my entire life. My voice probably sounds still a little bit strained. But finally have a voice. I didn't have a voice at all last week. So it has been really tricky caring for him while also kind of trying to protect him from my sickness. I've been masked up again. It felt like COVID all over again. And gosh, it's just been a lot of work. A lot of work, a lot less sleep, having to push myself to move when all I wanted to do was go to bed and rest. But honestly, we've been good. And I can really thank myself for learning how to manage my mind in times of trial. I am so grateful for the things that I've learned through coaching. Working with my own coach, she helped me to learn how to be and what to think and the things to practice, all in order to maintain a healthy mindset when I bump up against difficult circumstances. And this is the tool that I want to teach you today. This training is gold, and I've definitely benefited from using it myself this past week. So I call this tool Catch It While It's Hot. And it's the process of becoming aware of the moment that you have a thought that threatens to take you off the rails, and then intentionally work to shift that thought so that a bad thought doesn't spin into a bad day. Because let's face it, bad days happen to all of us, right? But if you can learn how to do this, you can greatly diminish your suffering, no matter the circumstance that you're going through. There are many thoughts that can trigger a spiral. Whether you didn't sleep well the night before, or maybe you got some bad news, maybe you're experiencing an illness, perhaps you got a bad diagnosis, maybe you had a fight with someone that you love, maybe had an event that flopped, maybe a car accident or something else out of your control. There are a million different things that can happen that cause us to feel down, and that's really normal. That's God's plan for us in this life, right? To experience the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, the highs and the lows. In 2 Nephi 2:11, it says, "For it must needs be that there is an opposition in all things. If not so, righteousness could not be brought to pass, neither wickedness, neither holiness nor misery, neither good nor bad, having no life, neither death, nor corruption nor incorruption, happiness nor misery, neither sense nor insensibility." I love that this is God's plan for us. We have to experience contrast in our lives in order to know joy from pain, happiness from sadness, laughter from tears. Contrast is good, and it's part of the beauty of being a human being. But sometimes, because of our humanity and those lower brains of ours that offer more than 60,000 negative thoughts per day, we can take a negative thought about our circumstances and multiply it by adding even more negative thoughts. I call this snowballing, right? We just take one and we let it roll and spin and add more and more to it. And then it spins and spirals and creates even more negativity, which results in creating more negative emotion than is necessary. As my mom used to call it, she'd call it making a mountain out of a molehill. How many of you have heard that before, right? We take a bad thought, we massage it, we add to it, and soon that bad thought becomes a bad day. So let me give you an example of what this might look like. Let's say there was a storm and the power went out during the night, so you slept through your alarm. Well, your brain would likely start catastrophizing when you woke up, right? Oh no, I'm going to be late. And now I'm going to be even further behind at work, right? Kind of that panic sets in. And then the spiral might continue looking like this, like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Why can't things go my way for once? My boss is probably going to be angry. What if I lose my job? Why does life have to be so hard? Remember, and of course, when you ask your brain those questions like that, it will search for answers. Like, if I lose my job, I'm not going to have money to pay my bills. I won't be able to take care of my family. What if we lost our home? Right? Yes, life is hard for you. It will answer that question. Why does life have to be so hard for me? It will say, yes, life is hard for you. Remember that time when this other thing didn't work out, or this bad thing happened to you, or when you were in that car accident, or the other time your neighbor blamed you for breaking the fence, or whatever, right? On and on and on. When we set our brain on a quest to find an answer, it will find them, and it will give you all the evidence you need to support that negative thought. Okay. So, if you give your brain room to run free, it will do just that. And before you know it, that first thought of, oh no, I'm going to be late, and now I'm going to be even further behind, has taken off on a train track of its own, and it's going to wreck your entire mood for the day. And you guys, this is something that we've all done. We all do it. Sometimes we even want to do it. I think feeling sorry for ourselves can sometimes be enticing because if we believe we don't have any control of our feelings, then we can blame other people and other things for the way that we feel instead of looking to the true source, which is usually our own unmanaged brain. So, this happened to me a few weeks ago. I had a frustrating tech issue that I couldn't figure out, and I got really annoyed. I'd been working on it, tried lots of different things. I just could not figure out this certain problem. And I had this thought, this is just too hard. And the more that I told myself how hard it was, the more frustrated I became. I started thinking of all the reasons that I wasn't going to be able to make it work, right? I told myself this is so hard, and then my brain believed it. It wanted to believe that story. And then it started comparing me to the other colleagues of mine who were maybe luckier or smarter, more tech savvy. Maybe they had more resources of help than I had, right? I felt sorry for myself. So once I dipped into that self-pity, right, I decided to bag it for a while. I ate some chocolate. I picked up the remote control and I watched an episode of something on Netflix. And then I got even more frustrated with myself for eating candy that I didn't really want in my body and for wasting more time because I really had to get this thing done. Right. So you can see my frustration and my upsetness kind of growing. Then my husband came home from work and wanted to go to a movie. And that really bugged me because I'd already wasted too much time that day. And I didn't want to feel guilty for telling him no. So then I was a little short with him. And then I felt even worse because, of course, he had nothing to do with any of it. And I wasn't able to show up in my relationship the way I wanted to. And do you see how I just created all of this? If I had dealt with that original thought when it occurred and caught it when it was hot, I could have salvaged my whole day. But instead, I let it spin and progress, and I chose to just sink into it until I could kind of check out that night, go to sleep, and reset. And you guys, I'm not saying that this is wrong. Sometimes this really is the best solution to rest and reset, especially if you find yourself at the end of the day feeling this way. Resting and resetting is really good as long as you're aware that when I wake up, I need to make a new choice. I can't allow myself to carry this into tomorrow, right? But if you can learn how to identify that hot thought that's making you miserable and go to work on that for just a few minutes, you can keep yourself from compounding the negativity and save yourself a whole lot of suffering. So let me give you an example of how to do this. Last week, the day after my husband's surgery, I woke up with a really sore throat. And if there's ever a time when you don't want to be sick, it's when your husband's in the hospital recovering from a major surgery. And immediately my brain started to catastrophize. It was like, this is the worst. I can't believe I have to wear a mask. How can I take care of him when I don't feel well? Right? Poor me. And I noticed myself, I was able to observe myself doing this. I've been able to grow my ability to look at my thinking. And I was, because of that, able to nip it in the bud. I recognized first, I had two circumstances. My husband was in the hospital, and the second circumstance was I was sick. All of the rest, all of the story and drama that my brain wanted to tell about those two circumstances were optional. So I took a few moments to question my thoughts and then set out to think on purpose what I wanted to think about my circumstances. Okay. So then I thought some thoughts on purpose, like thank heaven for masks so I can still go help him. Thank heaven for sanitizer so I can still touch him, right? What a blessing to have doctors and nurses to help me care for him. And then what a gift to have medicine for both of us, right? I thought I'll take some meds, I'll see what I can do, and I'll let my best be good enough. And this immediately stopped my spiral. It brought my emotional temperature to an even neutral place and helped me to move forward with some patience and acceptance. And instead of feeling that self-pity and resistance, I could find some peace around it. My circumstances didn't change at all, right? The way that I felt drastically changed. And I wasn't gaslighting myself. The thoughts I was choosing to think on purpose were all true. And you can use this tool for any circumstance that you bump up against. All you have to do is identify that hot thought that wants to trip you up and start you down that path that will ruin your day, and use your personal power of observing your brain to shift it before it can bloom and grow and run you off the rails. Here's an important reminder, and I know I've said this before on this podcast, but you are not your thoughts. You are not your mind. You are the observer of your thoughts and your mind. The piece of you, your highest best self, is the piece that can observe your thinking and your brain, right? Humans are the only beings that have this power of observation. And what a gift it is. But we have to practice it in order to take advantage of that beautiful gift. I remember when I used to believe that a good night's rest was required in order to have a good day. And I remember being coached on this. I hadn't slept hardly at all, and I had a call scheduled with my coach. I thought about canceling, but I showed up and I told her how tired I was, how little I'd slept, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, "So what?" And I remember being like, well, that's rude. That's kind of insensitive, right? I'm telling you how horrible I feel. And she's like, so why is that a problem? And so, of course, I tried to explain to her why it made sense that I couldn't have a good day because I didn't get the rest that I needed, right? And she very lovingly showed me how that hot thought was working to ruin my day. It wasn't the lack of sleep. Plenty of people don't get enough sleep. So if even a few of them can go on and enjoy their day, that was proof that good sleep was not required for a good day. She taught me how to question all of it, right? Who said I can't have a good day if I don't sleep? Where did that belief come from? Why did I accept that as a fact? How would I feel differently if I told myself I got the perfect amount of sleep? What would be different in the way I showed up, the way I behaved, the mood I allowed myself to be in if I didn't think that good sleep was required to have a good day? I quickly realized that telling myself I'm so tired was like telling my body to be exhausted, and then it obeyed. But when I tried on the thought that I got the perfect amount of rest that I needed, I noticed my body snap to attention. I saw my brain looking for ways to be productive. Notice again, I wasn't trying to deceive myself. I wasn't saying, I feel fully rested. I have tons of energy. My brain would easily have rejected that. But instead, I gave my brain a new thread to pull on, a new option to consider that I hadn't before. That it was possible that I didn't have to get a full night's sleep in order to have a good day. And once I did, I felt completely different. My brain went to work thinking about other things instead of focusing on my lack of sleep and how tired I was, right? So think for yourself, what are those hot thoughts for you? Take a moment to think on that and then journal your answers. Then question those thoughts. Use the 5 who, what, when, where, why, and how. Wait, I think I did. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay, so that's 6. I'm still a little foggy, you guys, but this this is the process I want you to go through. Use those questions, right? Is this a thought I want to keep? Who did I get that thought from? Where did it come from? What could I think instead that's also true? How do I want to think about this? Ask yourself all those questions and discover the root of it. Push your brain so that your negative thought doesn't spiral and then ruin your mood. Okay? Choose to think a new thought that will take you from catastrophizing and spinning to a more calm and neutral place of acceptance and peace. So, going back to my first example of the power going out and missing your alarm, instead of thinking, oh no, I'm going to be late and be even further behind, could you catch that hot thought and question it? Is this really the end of the world? Why do I think that this is a problem? Who told me, where did I get this idea that if I'm late for work, I'm going to be further behind? Is it possible that I'll be able to catch up more quickly if I'm not stressed, right? Do you think your boss won't understand a power outage? What am I making it mean if I fall further behind? Have I been behind before? What did I do then? What can I do now? How can I make the best of this circumstance? And then here's a thought I really love. Lucky me, I got the extra sleep I really needed. Everything is always working out for me, right? As soon as you find yourself starting to head down that black hole, find that hot thought and settle yourself. Sometimes we do want to feel the other half of our human experience. So you might indulge in some self-pity for a bit. Totally fine. Just be aware that it's your choice to feel that way, right? Give yourself permission to change it whenever you're ready. This lets your brain know that it isn't permanent, right? It tells you, I'm not a victim. I'm the boss of my brain and no one else is. The key is being onto ourselves when we try to blame those external circumstances for our rotten mood. No one and no thing can make us feel any certain way. It's our thoughts about our circumstances that create our emotions each and every time. Yes, always. And I want you to know that there is nothing wrong with you for having hot thoughts. It's perfectly normal. I'm so grateful for my coaches who've helped me to see those places where I was blocking and really unaware of my thinking. I put such a high priority on my mental health, my friends. In fact, just last week, I hired my 7th coach. I will never be without a coach. There will always be some way that I'm wanting to improve or grow. There's nothing more important to me than evolving and becoming the best version of myself that I can. And I promise it blesses every other area of my life as well. So here's my invitation to you. If you're having those recurring hot thoughts, or you're finding yourself feeling stuck and unable to manage your emotions, you're having more difficult days than normal, you're finding it hard to move forward, or you feel like you're not quite sure on what comes next for you, just book a free call with me and let me help you through it. Whether you end up working with me or not, it will give you a lot of clarity. It will give you a roadmap of just what you can do to move forward. And I want that for you, sister. Use me, okay? All right, everyone. That's what I have for you today. Be well, go brighten someone else's day and see how it brightens your own. Thanks for being with me. Have a great week. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye now. Hey, if you are ready to get unstuck and make your midlife amazing, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And I want to invite you to join my Empty Nest Academy, where you will learn how to transform your mind, your relationships, and your life. Come free yourself of regret and disappointment and be so much happier. Listen, sis, we've got one shot at this big, beautiful life. Let's make it amazing. Go to janecopier.com, that's JaneCopier.com, and sign up today. And if you're not sure what's right for you, book a free consultation with me and we'll talk it over together. And we'll make sure to get you on the path that serves you the best. See you inside.